some people know what exactly, for those who might be listening particularly to the podcast, who maybe aren't healthcare providers, what exactly, what's Medicare all about?
Yeah, I can explain that a little. So yeah, Medicare. So Medicare is interesting because when I first started, I had no idea what Medicare was either. I heard about it, but I didn't really understand it. So Medicare, just like other insurances like TRICARE and Medicaid, it's a federal insurance program. So for clients over 65 or clients with some kind of chronic condition, Medicare can cover some of the services that they need. And I think of insurance, the example I use is like you're in school and there's a bully who is the problem. So I paid David, and I said, and David comes to me and says, hey, that bully is always bothering you. If you can pay me a monthly fee, when the bully comes, I'm going to take over and just, take care of him so he doesn't bother you. And that's what insurance pretty much does. So insurance, people pay a monthly fee or a premium to insurance. And in exchange, the insurance company says, well, we will cover certain services for you. So if you get sick, we will cover those services in exchange for your premium or your fee you take.
Right.
With Medicare, there are typically three parts of Medicare. So there is Medicare Part A, Medicare Part B, and Medicare Part D. So there's three parts of Medicare. Now, for us as mobile clinicians who are taking Medicare, the main ones that we want to deal with is Medicare Part A and Part B. We want to know those two because that will help us in terms of billing and doing other insurances. And I'm sure somebody is there in the live listening right now saying, hey, you're missing one. Right, we're missing one. There's Medicare Part C. So Medicare Part C is Medicare Advantage plans, which are replacement plans. So these are insurance companies that are commercial that are contracted by Medicare to provide a Medicare type of plan. So there's actually four types of plans, Medicare Part A, B, C, and D. But typically when I start talking to individuals, not to overwhelm them, I just go over the two basic parts, Medicare Part A, Medicare Part B.
I love it. So how do you accept? I mean, most of our viewers and listeners, whether it's in the Facebook group or, on the podcast, they're aware of Medicare. But how do you start accepting those clients?
Okay. So again, like I talked about, so I'll go back and quickly mention something else. So there's Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. Medicare Part A covers hospital visits, home health, inpatient rehab, and so forth. Medicare Part B, which is what we accept that you asked about, is they cover outpatient services. So they cover your physical therapy, your occupational therapy, your speech therapy, your doctor visits, your specialists, your imaging, all those things are covered under Medicare Part B. So the very first thing that we have to do if you want to accept Medicare is get credentialed or certified through Medicare. So once you do that, Medicare will see you as a provider, and you can either become participating or not participating, and we can talk about that later on. It's a lot more details, but in a big, like, just big picture kind of scene, you have to get credentialed through Medicare, and Medicare has certain documentation that you must fill out and sign in order to become credentialed with Medicare.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, how hard is that process?
It's not too hard. Well, I will admit, when I first started, I didn't have any real knowledge of doing the thing. So when I first started some years back, I remember applying in June, and it took me until September to get credentialed with Medicare because I had no idea what I was doing. I was filling random boxes in, saying, I don't want to send this question. Well, I'll just put yes, or eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I'll circle this one.
Right.
So, disaster when I first started. But typically, once you fill the application out, I think the quickest I've seen is 1 week to get credentialed. And the longest I've seen was me, I think, like 3 or 4 months to get credentialed. But the great thing is about Medicare is when you get credentialed into Medicare, you can actually, before you're credentialed, you can actually see clients prior to being actually approved by Medicare to see their clients. So there is something called an effective date that you put on your application. So for example, I can put my effective date as April 15, 2021, and I can see clients from this date. And let's say Medicare accepts me in September of 2021, I can take those claims and send them off to Medicare, and Medicare will pay me for those because when they accepted me, they said, even though we accept you in September, we see that on your application, you're seeing patients since April. So the process now is not, is not very difficult. You can do it all online or by paper. Either way works. Online is, of course, much better, much faster, and much more accurate. And it's free. That's another great thing about it. So doing the application doesn't cost you a dime. The only thing it costs you is your time. So it does cost you your time of going in and doing the application and so forth. There's other companies out there where you can pay them and they'll do it for you as well. So there's that option as well. But for the actual application, it's free. There's no cost for the application for Medicare.
You said something there a minute ago that I think is for those thinking of taking Medicare, that's very important for them to recognize, because not everybody knows this. And that is, when you fill out the application, that you can start seeing Medicare beneficiaries even though you're not yet credentialed, and Medicare will retro pay or retro reimburse, whatever the heck you want to call it, those visits. And I think that's very important for particularly for younger therapists who are getting started that maybe aren't familiar with the Medicare game, for them to recognize, like, you don't have to wait for perfect. You don't have to wait for all the ducks to be in a row before you start seeing a Medicare client. They will reimburse those visits. So that's important.
And not only that, but I think Medicare got this rap as being this big bad beast, which it can be a big bad beast if you do things incorrectly. But once you really understand what their rules are, like how I see Medicare, David, is I see Medicare as a boss. So for example, when you worked in a clinic, your boss was your supervisor and also the patients, because you got to keep the patients happy to get paid, and then the boss can pay you. So when I get credentialed with Medicare, I'm telling Medicare, I will see your patients and accept your cost that you give me. So it's not really accurate, but technically Medicare is kind of your employer in that point when you see a Medicare client, because for you to get paid, you got to follow their rules,
right,
their client. So then in my mind, how I see it is, when I see a new client, I think, well, I have to be in compliance with Medicare, but also I want to make sure the patient is happy as well with my services. And once those two things are combined, then you can get paid from Medicare. But it's simply, just, following the rules. Like, there's rules in life, and once you follow the rules, follow the guidelines, you can make it successful, like I did.